My story.
I'm delivered.
I'm delivered.
Here's my story.
Listen to it.
Life and favor upon
Life and favor.
Hey, Facebook family, how are you this morning? It is a joy to be here, and it's a joy to have the privilege to be able to come to you again. I'm just here to testify about what God has done and what God desires to do in our lives. We've been studying the person of Abram or Abraham, and it has been a phenomenal journey, a phenomenal walk of faith. And what we discovered this week was that in chapter 13 of Genesis, that we learned some lessons both from Abram and Lot. And they both were believers. Believe it or not, Lot, even though he didn't act a lot like a Christian, he was considered to be a Christian. According to 2 Peter chapter 2, that says Lot's righteous soul was vexed at the consistency of ungodliness in Sodom and Gomorrah. He was vexed by their behavior, which says that he was the only righteous person, which meant that he was a believer. But yet he was a believer that behaved in a wrong manner. He shows us what a immature Christian reacts to and how an immature Christian reacts versus how one that's walking with the Lord reacts, like Abram reacted. It's amazing. Those principles that leap right out of the book of Genesis chapter 13. We found out that when a Christian fails, and a Christian will fail, we will drop the ball. We will sin. We will come short of the glory of God. None of us are perfect. None of us have arrived yet. And when we do, what do? We do what Abram did. He retraced his steps. He began to walk back from Egypt up toward the north, where he went through Negev, where he landed back toward the place called Bethel, where he first built that altar and called on the name of the Lord. So when you fail, you need to retrace your steps back. Get back in fellowship with the God that you walked away from. Not only that, but we also saw in the life of Lot, we also saw that when Abram gave him a choice to choose, when you have the privilege, and we have the privilege to choose, and God has given us a free will, don't always choose based upon your natural senses, because the scripture says that he looked up and he saw over in the valley of the Jordan Valley, as well as a New Living Translation says he looked long toward the Jordan Valley. Found out that the word Jordan means death. He literally looked toward Death Valley, and yet it looked like it had life. Your initial perception can deceive you, which can be a total reason for your life to become demobilized as well as destroyed. So you don't, as a believer, don't just rely on your natural senses. You got to consult the Lord to find out which way you ought to go in life. I think it was the proverb writer that said, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean to your own understanding, your own assessment, your own abilities, but trust in him, and he promised to direct our path. Not only that, but we also learned too that when it came to Abram and when it came to Lot, that when there is contention and confusion in the life of the believer, between a believer, you've got to learn to relinquish your rights. Let the Lord deal with some things, because he's capable and able to do some things better than we can, and he can get out of some things more than what we can. And he will show you some things beyond what you see. Sometimes the very fact that you're in contention and in confusion blocks your vision, blocks your perspective. It literally causes your future to look fuzzy and your present to become frustrated. So what you've got to do is sit back, relinquish. Remember, God gave you some promises. And as he promised Abraham that he had his back, he promised Abraham that I'm going to give you the land. So don't regardless where Lot may go in the land, that's still yours to have. So you can probably have more than what you started out with if you relinquish your rights, because now God has the right to cover your back. That's enough for today, man. I love you. I pray that I'll see you soon. God bless you. Look forward to talk to you next week. Peace.